So I guess before I talk about the anime things I'll watch, I'll wrap up the non-anime stuff real fast that I feel like talking about. Namely the Tremor series, which I thought was actually pretty good. And a very good extension to the Tremors universe. Storytelling was still very Tremors-like in certain parts, with obvious limitations, but at the same time more flexibility. But this is the anime analysis, so let's actually talk about the anime I've watched. There's three things, although I didn't watch any complete series. I watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood Part 4, and it continues to be good, although at the same time, I've noticed that as it goes on here, it looks like the series likes to present something where a conflict is happening, it's almost not going to work, and then boom, somebody else that you couldn't keep track of suddenly shows up, and then something else is happening, and then boom, somebody else you couldn't keep track of. So it kind of is feeling a little formulaic at this point. Mostly with the recent couple of episodes at the end of the DVD. It's not too bad, though. There's still a lot of neat stuff about what was happening in the confrontations. It just felt a little more, not necessarily predictable so much as there's not as much surprise because you were expecting the surprise, I guess. Well, let's see. I also watched the first DVD of Flame of Recca, and it was okay. I can't really say that it was necessarily the best thing ever. Some of the characters kind of remind me of character setups from Yu Yu Hakusho, especially since our main character also ends up with somebody who is trying to chase and fight him and whatnot, and is kind of the never falls down friend, ally, former bully. It's not exactly obvious that he was a bully. Anyways, so it feels like there's some parallels between the two, but otherwise it feels like a very 90s anime. I just can't think of much else. It's just the first 4 episodes. I still have a lot more to watch, and I just haven't because there's plenty of other stuff to work on. The other thing I watched was the first disc of Hero Tales, which I think some people have been asking about. Not only some of y'all, but also some people on Reddit I saw asking about it. I think part of the interest in it is that I think it might have been made by the same mangaka that did Fullmetal Alchemist. Somebody said it to me, but I actually haven't gone and verified it myself. I just only drew the connection that this one character looked a hell of a lot like the Führer from Fullmetal Alchemist. So there's some interest in checking it out because it's the same person, but it's really obvious to me watching it why it doesn't score nearly as high, and that's I think there's a couple of reasons. First of all, the story is a lot more transparent. I'm not even saying that it's necessarily overdone or anything. It's just you kind of already know what the story's trying to do just watching it. It doesn't feel like there's as much reveal as it goes along. And that's kind of like in stark contrast to Fullmetal Alchemist, where you kind of feel like you're having to start putting pieces of puzzles together and characters are solving problems that they didn't even know they were going to be having to solve. So it's it's a big difference between the two. And the other difference is that the characters in Hero Tales kind of have a very... They don't seem to mix very well. I mean, I basically joked with the person I was watching it with that up to the point we had seen it, Hero Tales was pretty much just the characters constantly insulting each other. And what does the next episode start with? But the characters all insulting each other. And really, when you get down to it, you know, they're always calling each other stupid or hitting each other in the heads or whatnot. So, overall, it's probably not fair to actually compare it to Fullmetal Alchemist, since, especially when you hold the two next to each other, one of them's going to win out because it's just designed, more inherently better designed to capture the attention of a human being, and in both terms, both in terms of the way the story is structured and the way the characters interact. There may be some similarities between the two in certain details here and there, but for the most part, it's just not fair to compare them. So I'm not quite sure if it's worth the rating it's got. In other words, I don't know if I will enjoy it more than the average person, or if maybe I should remember that the ratings actually don't go from completely unwatchable in the sixes to perfect anime in the nines or something like that, but rather bad anime starts getting down below a 5, I would guess. And everything above that is a watchable, and just how watchable it is depends on how much higher, I guess. So, I still need to watch more Hero Tales. Yeah, that one's really one that really depends on if it does anything real cool. There's just a lot more action to it than, or it's a lot more action focused while at the same time not really having a lot of action, so there's characters kind of needing to understand their powers and get the right weapons or something. Anyways, I guess that's the anime analysis update for the week. It's not a big update, but I've had a really strange week. I didn't even talk about all the things I watched. But with Tremors out of the way, that means there's a better chance of anime watching, save for the fact that I'm going to a friend's house, and when I'm there, I'm pretty much only going to be watching anime I've already seen before. So that's probably going to slow things down a bit. And I might have to do other things. Oh, well, that's not for anime analysis, that's for the other video. So, I'll see y'all next week.